was, for the most part, an aggressive Chinese showing on here. But, you know, for Dignitas, I would imagine they would want to try and stick to a little bit more macro sense to try and play around that, namely the Dahaka. But for CE, I think it's a case of what basically Wolf said. You can't judge too much from day one. We can't really assess their true power level at this stage.
I think this is a map that's great for Dignitas in terms of controlling the macro. If you get an early lead on this map, or if you've got a global hero or multiple global heroes, you can control bell towers, control sapper camps. You can have that hold the bot bell tower strat work out really well for you. So as long as Dignitas, I think, prioritizes those heroes, then I think they've got a great shot at dominating this first map. Already though, first global of the game goes to CE.
Oof, they are going for the late game here. That is for sure, playing that macro sense, trying to make sure they get that post 10, but I am a little bit worried here. Maiev has been left open, and Dignitas in the past has been willing to pick up that hero.
Hey, Trick, I actually had a question for you about Team Dignitas. Yesterday, they were the only team concerned at all with Medivh. They played him once. We know that didn't go well, but I think we can chalk that up more so to execution, but they also banned him twice, not touched by anyone else. Do you have any ideas where the concern might have been for them there, or?
Medivh's been pretty popular in Europe for a while.
Yeah.
It's one of those heroes that when he is played well with a team properly, it feels like you cannot lose with him. Now, that properly part is a key word, because we did have Snitch kind of messing up a little bit on the Medivh yesterday, a couple of mislay land seals, also having Sign catch him a few times. So Medivh will be something that we might have pop up in this tournament.
I was actually really wondering what the hesitation was there from Dignitas, because I was just thinking, look, you've got Tracer, you've got Malfurion on the board. Those two have been fantastic for both Poik and Zelia in the past. And also, you know, if you allow that to be, you put on the side of a Abathur as well, it's just far too many power picks given over to the side of CE. So looking just to try and blow somebody up, if CE go aggressive, look, we can just find that pick, we can take you out. And if you are going to try and stay as that 5-man wrecking ball, then we can look to try and break that down in an instant.
I wonder what CE is going to have as their primary target for the Abathur, because there's a lot of, you know, historical Chinese targets for that. Illidan, obviously the first one in terms of Chinese history.
Yeah.
You have the Greymane that's still available. Genji is your top pick, but the safest pick here, I think, is just a Muradin pick. You know, grab the early tank, leave the draft open for more flexibility. Zeratul Varian, though. Varian, I think, going to be more a response to the Tracer, but Zeratul can also be a very mobile hat target that can look for backline picks.
Fills the role, in my opinion, very similar to Genji, where you're looking to roam around and try and isolate members that are maybe too far out of position. Can definitely decimate through Tracer's very, very squishy health ball. She cannot respond in time, but yeah, the Varian really actually catches me off guard. I was thinking for sure it was going to be a Muradin. I was going to think something a little bit more traditional, but the Varian, a little bit knee-jerk reaction for me, Trick.
Looking to have a response to that Tracer, but don't forget also about what Zeratul can bring to the top lane too, especially with an Abathur backing him up, being able to that quick cleave, clear out that lane and back up, make sure that Tracer isn't coming in to even try and pick you off in that lane whatsoever, and then you get to a point where you're building towards that level 16. Already this composition screams to me, sure, we'll have some decent strength in the early game, we'll have the Varian taunt being available, so if we want to get sapper aggression, we can, but the late game, they're actually going to have a lot of firepower if they're able to find those VPs. Yeah, if they can scale into the late game here, then CE's comp will be very, very explosive. The same could be said really from Dignitas of what we've seen so far. Tracer definitely scaling on up with that Pulse Bomb to really just blast through your health pool. But the Leeming is going to come across as well. I like this from them, making sure pretty much what we saw before Wolf with a Zeratul Leeming combination. When you find one target, that person will not survive. You've got the Void Prism to set things up and a guaranteed Arcane Orb explosion.
Especially if Malfurion doesn't have Ice Block. I love this Dahaka ban because it's really trying to say, look, we have a global already. You're Dignitas, you're the team that's trying to control this map. You've taken a gamble picking up Tracer early, not going into your normal traditional macro style. So we've countered that, at least attempted counter here with the Varian. We've seen that twice already. First by Luna Meow in their first series against Heroes Hearth. Then we saw it later by The One. Both unsuccessful Varian counters, both picked against the Tracer after seeing the Tracer pick. But we'll see if this one can work out for CE. I think the Dahaka ban limits Dignitas' potential in the top lane. Maybe now they look for a lane bully, like a Sonya.
Well, I think the issue has been, since that rework, you can't get 2 shield walls now, because you do get the cooldown reduction from that. It's not until 10. and you lose one charge of it though. And what we have seen is Varian's the one just dying to a Tracer. It is not the other way around where you're getting the taunt blow up. It's just playing cautious until you see a taunt somewhere else, and then the pulse bomb comes in and takes them out.
And they could buy into that too if they want to go with the Blaze, and they do actually.
That's what I wanted to.
They pick up the Blaze in the Nubrak. Blaze helping out the team fight, making sure that Tracer cannot be picked off if a taunt comes out. Wait for that parry to come out, as you were mentioning, and then follow up and go for the kill.
And we've seen how many times a pick just like Blaze alone can just really shut down a Chinese region. It just pop the bunker or even just sustain with the oil spill and just force the aggression. They're coming at you, we'll come right back at you. But the bunker for me is the major selling point of this. That means, hey, if you're looking to try and shut us down, Tracer pops in, Tracer pops out, has armor, survivability is there. And that means that not all of the pressure is on Zealot to ensure that Poik stays alive.
I'm wondering now what support we're going to see. Obviously, Rhaegar can work really well with this composition. You have the ability to roam around and clear camps very quickly. This is not a comp that needs sustainability, so Stukov, I really just feel like is a weak pick here. The one other one that comes to mind that could be quite strong against Malfurion and Tracer because of his mobility and damage is the Kharazim. Like, Kharazim has the ability to do a lot. He's got a hat on him as well. Very heavy dive. Here comes the Greymane. But it's going to be Alex Rossa. Very, very rare to see it on this battleground of all battlegrounds.
It's a 365 favorite, though.
On this map?
I don't know necessarily about that. I'd have to look at that, but it's mainly if they can't get a Malfurion, that is one of his go-tos.
I mean, I love the hero personally. I'm a big advocate for Alex Straza, but every time I tend to see it, it's always on Infernal Shrines. You're drafting big, beefy compositions. You're hanging around that one central point and playing off abundance. So I'm a big fan of it, but I wonder just how one-dimensional it is for Dignitas then to try and exploit.
Yeah, if you're willing to just sacrifice a fight whenever the Alex Straza pops the Dragon Queen, usually you can find experience somewhere else on the battleground. I don't find any place on this battleground for Dignitas to have to fight over. Sure, you have the altars, but there's always that give up and play later on, right? So it feels like a lot of the fights from CE may come around the Sapper camps. They may say, all right, in the early game, we're playing around Varian's taunt, we are willing to use Dragon Queen, we are taking your Sappers, and we're going to take your bottom tower. And I feel like that's how they take a lead in this game and hold on to it.
Would you even argue it's a case of them saying, look, we have the Abathur, we are going to be a man down pre-10. It's looking to try and get as much XP and as much value to try and snowball ahead to reach 10 first and go, now we unlock. And as Wolf was mentioning, now we start to reach those level 13, 16s, and ultimately 20, where we have so much damage.
Yeah, if you can at least go even in the early game, you're kind of guaranteeing somewhat of a late game with this composition, so you have the ability to use Abathur's power spikes there. Alex Straza can delay a lot, and I think that's part of the reason why we see Thrall come in, because he also can, so you're not going to be just blown away by the extra soak that Abathur's going to have with his symbiotes and with his body soak. I just feel like the comp is a little bit all over the place, a little bit all in. It feels like the variant's a weak soft counter. You have Abathur Zeratul, but it feels forced, and then the Alex Straza pick coming in. Would have liked almost anything else. I mean, I could see the theory behind it, but in execution, I'm not sold.
Well, your prediction then?
Well, I'm going to have to go with Dignitas for those reasons just mentioned.
I think I'll go for Dignitas for the sole reason that I believe that CE's comp, if it falls behind early, it's just going to fall behind forever. So I'm sticking with Dignitas.
Yeah, same for me. I think if Kharazim came in as that 5th pick, as Wolf was talking about for a little bit, we would have had a more natural element of this team being decent around level 4, power spiking towards the end game, and that would have felt really nice. The Alex is a little bit weird for me, so I go with Dignitas here.
I'm really interested to see the drafting deviations again from Dignitas. It's not often that you get to see this melee focused from them, but I'm excited to see how it works out, and it's Team Dignitas. I feel like they have been able to fix whatever issues were plaguing them yesterday, and it's going to be smooth sailing for them through the group stage, or at least this series. But we can check in with your votes at home too. The 80-20% plague continues.
It's broken.
It's not just for Caleres anymore.
Yeah, it's
to you now.
The same. It's the same for me. All right, I guess that makes sense. And you see that you have voted for Team Dignitas as well. We'll see if CE can prove all of us wrong, as I believe we're about to check in with the commentators right now. Hello, Caldor and Dreadnought. What do you think of the drafts?
I actually thought it's really interesting, and I talked a little bit with Quack about it, and he said that CE just went full Brazil, his words, and that they faced it in a couple of games and scrims, and that it can actually be pretty dangerous.
It's definitely a composition that I think is going to rely on a bit of chaos, right? And if they can kind of dismantle, you know, Dignitas and remind them a little bit of what happened yesterday, I think they might have a shot.
Well, I believe that you guys can take us through the chaos beautifully. Take it away.
So we have a pretty melee-heavy composition here, especially also on the side of CE. So full aggression once again, and let's be fair, that's actually what we asked for the entire time.
Absolutely. It is one of those, catering kind of to the playstyle that we always love to see out of the Chinese region. But with Alexstrasza, that's going to be an interesting trade-off.
Yeah, so Alex is just going to try and follow all of this up as we are seeing Varian and Greymane going in. But first of all, let's introduce our players to the left. Dignitas with Not Nervous Poik on Tracer, Zillion Malfurion, and Nubarak played by JPL, Blaze played by Whoopi, and Snitch on the War Chief.
And here in the red, representing China, is CE with KTY on the Abathur, Shuyu playing the Zeratul, Wind on Varian, Greymane played by Alufool, and 365 on Alexstrasza.
One of the things that I find super interesting about the way that China is drafting is that they're really old school when it comes to hard counter mechanics. Every time they see a Tracer in the draft, there's a snap pick on Varian right away.
Yeah, and that is something when Varian and Tracer were kind of introduced near the same time into the Nexus. Like, I mean, that was the go-to for a lot of people. The thing is that when, as time went on, it seems like we evolved beyond that. There's multiple answers towards those things. But China, they've kept it simple since day number one, and very much, Wind and friends looking to make it, that work again here for this team. And so far, with a little bit of pressure on the top half, interesting decision-making to put pressure on the top half on a map like Towers.
And in the meantime, we have in the middle actually also a push happening by Dignitas. So both of the teams just going for a bit of a race here. Whoopi needs to be careful at the top so that he isn't zoned out, but he's able to get behind the gate. But this is just a full-on race to get these towers down and soak up that extra experience.
And this is a very common strategy against Abathurs. Used to be a lot more predominant. It died out a little bit into some front, but Abathur is very weak at defending against early sieges. So your answer is, well, maybe we can counter siege into one area. And so Dignitas responding up into mid, but when it's all said and done, after the siege is there, I would say that is a dead even trade. So Dignitas not, too concerned here whatsoever.
Yeah, at the same time, from CE's perspective, what I really also like about the draft that they have is just that Abathur factor that you pointed out. Because you have such an aggressive draft already with Varian just trying to go in, trying to hit that taunt. Then you have Zeratul also sneaking up on you. And always that Abathur head that just adds the extra damage. And it makes these gank potentials that we have from the Chinese team so dangerous. And of course, there's a ton of copy targets too for later on in the game.
Yeah, and I'm not going to count the Varian play out here for maybe some opportunities in other areas as well, because China has been willing to play every iteration of Varian that we've ever seen too. So I'm suddenly wondering, all right, is there an idea of maybe making this Varian a little bit more lethal with that Abathur hat? But hold on here, an evade attempt, no level 4 picked up. There it is here for CE. That taunt going to come online for Wind. We'll see if they can get that one shot, one kill.
Yeah, they're definitely going to try and go for it at this point. Cleave build for Zeratul, we have the traditional Carapace build for Abathur, just trying to make him that pseudo-healer that we've seen so far. And at the same time, now Varian himself in a bit of trouble as Wind is attacked here. But look at Poik! Tracer is down as Shuyu is going ham. Abathur with the help gets the shield through, double kill. CE takes down a Nubarak.
Shuyu with a massive flank, but it is not done. Whoopi trying to track it down, will end up getting the one kill. Shuyu went back in, and it's the cost of his life here. 2 for 2 in the skirmish between the two teams, but CE bringing the fight.
What a slaughter. It started with a quick kill against Tracer, and then you said, okay, it's already done, and all of a sudden, everywhere heroes just dying and falling, and Nubarak goes down, and then in the end, also Zeratul biting the dust here. But that's the explosive play that we want to see from China.
Yeah, and that was huge shout out to Shuyu, able to hit that, bomb onto the already teleported out, blinked out their Tracer. That was very well done. The Vorpal to get the lockdown. I'm already impressed here with Shuyu's Zeratul, so, but it's not over yet. They got to keep that up. Top left channel by Whoopi. Zaylia trying to get this on the bottom right. Wind maybe out of position. They're going a bit too far. Poik trying to get the lockdown. Post bomb warned by 365.
Nice route at the same time. Once again, Wind with the Abathur hat here. They're interrupting once more. We see all the way up to the top. Blaze still holding the lane here in the experience. But down to the bottom of the map, they're still fighting over the altar as Shuyu is now getting into position for the channel.
Taunt's going to be up here. Shuyu starts the channel. JPL is going to be looking to poke and prod. Only an impale, though.
There's a big wave that is about to be missed in the mid lane too. Whoopi is trying to transition over, but the fight is still going on as we have JPL missing the stun against Lufool, and still the fight raging on here.
Yeah, but over the time here, that Abathur is going to be trying to do its best to get the side soak. The problem is that Blaze is going to be able to siege up and get a little bit of damage. In the long run, this will be able to work out for Dignitas as long as they can hold this own in the 4 versus 4. Taunt goes in once again. 15 seconds until that Tracer is going to be, threatened once more.
They're going for JPL at this point, but Zelia in the meantime is trying to get the channel through, but Juyu is there with his Zeratul, and here comes the attack again against Greymane. They go for Loopful, and they get the kill.
They end up getting the kill here, and I don't think that the members of CE can contest any longer. Abathur doing his best to keep up the soak, but with this is going to be Dignitas taking a pretty significant lead, not only when it comes to the experience, but more importantly, at those shots. And the biggest thing here is the fact that an Abathur composition already, kind of slowly falling behind here into the early game. Dig's got to be feeling good about how this is looking, especially considering CE, they came with that game plan on that siege. They knew what they were going to try and make happen, and Dig has reacted near perfectly.
Yeah, and despite all the skirmishing that we have seen, Thrall also completing Echo of Elements 4.5 minutes into the game, so he can now fire away, especially against Zeratul whenever he shows on the map here. Wooby still doing his thing, double soaking the lanes in the mid and the top, catches the next wave here and keeps his team ahead in experience.
With the composition that CE has, we saw them with the last Zapper rotation play a little bit more passive, and I can't help but feel like that was due to the communication between the tick into 3 into 4, right? I mean, Varian isn't really kind of a hero to some extent until he ends up getting that opportunity with that lethality. But now that that is said and done, I would have liked to see a bit more aggression over Invade on situations like this, because their composition pre-10 has some of the highest lethality that you can ask for within a comp. So forcing skirmishes that you reliably can get on the map, and on towers that's only either on the altar or over Sapper. So this is a little bit more passive than I would have liked to see here from CE, but by no means is it a colossal setback.
Yeah, they still go for aggressive talents though. We have Wizen Duelist now also taken for Greymane, so he's trying to stack up that damage. Of course, they're also waiting to an extent at least for the copy on Abathur. And that's kind of interesting, since with Varian, usually you're trying to get the most out of the power spike after level 4 until level 10. But with Abathur, the 10 is so impactful because of that copy element that you have. Dignitas at this point jumping in. Europe with another kill here against China as Greymane goes down once again. A Lufu just getting picked off over and over again by Dignitas.
And it really feels like the momentum is kind of blow out of control here in favor of Team Dignitas as they go once again on to win. The root willing to connecting there from Zelia. Win seems like he's going to be able to hold his own. Look at this flank here from Shuyu. Can he get the pick onto either Poik or Zelia? No, he's going to just play safe there. Still no Greymane as we have both altars now spawn.
They at least pushed him off the bell tower, because that is just something that you can't lose at this point. This bottom bell tower, of course, always the highest priority. The problem is they're zoned out so far, and that's level 10 in the hands of Dignitas. There is no way for CE to contest anything here. Double altar already taken, and they're also looking for a kill here as they have the Cocoon on Varian.
Cocoon goes down. There goes the root. Pulse Bomb. Win's able to keep himself alive even after the Twilight Dream. 365 is keeping the team up, even forcing that bunker there from Wubby. That being said, that is Dragon Queen, a long cooldown. Heroics still not achieved here for CE as they land another taunt onto Wubby and force out that jet propulsion.
Mule in the meantime on the bell tower, trying to make sure that it's not taken by Dignitas, and that of course heavily works in their favor here now as they finally pick a level 10, and with that we have the copy ready, and we see the go for the throat on the side of Greymane.
Go for the throat with Alexstrasza and the Cleansing Flame. Along with Zeratul in the positioning there, I feel like it's going to be very interesting to see how 365 decides to use those, because we have seen, especially out of the Eastern meta, a lot of dive-oriented strategies using that Cleansing Flame and just using the heal onto, for instance, the Zeratul, the Greymane going in, and Varian kind of just holding its own within the downtime. But that being said, Poik with a very good bait there onto Win, trying to get that taunt out, setting him down there below 50%. Good poke and prod there from Dig.
Yeah, Varian on 10 with a shield wall over Warbringer now. And of course, still trying to look for these kills in later on. And they need these kills. They are currently on 2 kills against 4. And they're heavily falling behind on the objective as well. But at least they still hold the map. And of course, Abathur is attempting to get that side soak, as Whoopi is still AFK from the rest of the team. It's just a 4 versus 4 at this point, basically, with the solo laners just trying to soak here. But once again, the aggression against the Luftfool.
You got the Cleansing Flame, though, coming down from 365. Wubby missed that jet propulsion. Now the Void ends up dropping Varian, still stuck into the Cocoon on the other side of the lines of Dignitas. Dignitas now go Wind. This is the wrong side of this one. But look at that damage already onto Shuyu. Team Dignitas taking up that first pickoff, and Poik ended up making it out.
Yeah, fantastic finish there by Thrall, getting that kill in. Snitch with a well-placed Chain Lightning. The main problem that they really have here is that the Luftfool is always attacked so heavily, and with that Grey Cocoon that we saw from Anubarak, there's nothing that Varian could do about it. Alexstrasza kept them alive long enough, but at the end of the fight, it's still Dignitas prevailing and taking another bell tower, pushing CE down to 20 points on the core.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult. Looking at how that last skirmish hit, now that the heroics have come online for CE, I'm wondering, what is going to be the best approach for them, other than obviously the one-shot, one-kill, right? That is, we can expect that with this composition, but again, when you're expecting 1, 2, 3 to always happen, Dignitas is very good at making sure 2 never proceeds. Maybe 1, maybe 3, but never in a row.
CE has to be the team that initiates. They can't wait for Dignitas to make their move and to drop Cocoon and then go in. They have to be the ones that go for the snap call here, and that's going to make it really difficult.
I think I would like to, even kind of further in that, and the fact that, hold up here, not only do they need to initiate, but they have to as a unit. Wind is kind of going seconds before. Post bomb onto Shuyu. He will end up surviving, but after the Cocoon reveal, Dragon Queen ends up being dropped. A cooldown Dignitas got to be proud of here, enough to, allow them to back out of this fight. And though Dignitas is retreating, they're going, that was a big victory.
Yeah, Mule was also dropped by Abathur. They expected Dignitas to go way deeper onto the bell tower, which didn't happen. From an experience point of view, on the other hand, it doesn't really look too bad for CE, since Abathur really keeps them in the game. Whenever fight starts at the bot lane, Whoopi is transitioning over and is rotating in. He's trying it again, so that leaves a little bit of room for Abathur to get the experience up at the top. But it's really difficult for CE to get these engagements.
Yeah, and on the same note here, when we've been talking about the initiation approach from CE, notice how Varian is the only one poking and going in. Shuyu very rarely is actually skirmishing beforehand and trying to threaten anybody whatsoever, which is making the reaction time on Dignitas that much more clear. Again, Wind isolated with the initiation. We get the follow-up this time, though. Shuyu trying to go in, forcing the Earthquake out from Snitch. Go for the throat, but he keeps himself alive. The Cocoon drop, and now Dignitas has a very good counter-initiation opportunity.
And Abathur, of course, already using the copy as well here. Both of the teams on level 13 by now. Ice Block now available for Malfurion. Once again, Dig is starting to go in here, going for the win, but the heals are there. 365 making it happen. They channel the altar and they get it, but can they move out of the fight? Wind on the retreat. Bunker gets dropped, and Shuyu is on the run, but he gets stunned, and he goes down.
Yeah, that's going to be enough to get the kill there, and that is enough there for Dignitas to feel comfortable to move up to this bell tower and likely get the conversion over. Abathur doing his best with the soak on the top half of the map, but this game is now very much getting in full control of Team Dignitas. Most of the time you go, this is the moment where maybe if you're not too far behind, the Abathur comp can really kind of manipulate that experience, but Wubby has done so well on the side lanes that it really doesn't feel like that's an option here for CE.
Yeah, Abathur heavily on the body soak now. Whenever he has vision of Wubby, he starts moving down to the bot lane, to the top lane with his body to make sure that he gets the experience. And the team is starting to rotate in a bit. Abathur has done a good job whittling down the hit points on the top left bell tower, but CE is still falling behind in infrastructure, and this is starting to become a really serious problem here for CE.
Yeah, and I'm going to bring it back to that concept between Shuyu, and I don't think the responsibility of these initiations and skirmishes are solely on him. It's just that there needs to be a little bit more threat than where's the Varian. That is the only way these initiations are happening. Right now, Greymane is yet to go in Worgen and kind of get a 1-versus-1 trade there. And again, as I said, Shuyu hasn't always been there for that follow-up. That last initiation was near the closest we got to see. It was still a little bit off, but imagine if that is that much cleaner from CE. I feel like that might be a kill.
For me, a question is still if you go for bullet here over go for the throat. You are up against the Tracer, so the first impulse is always you want to go for the throat and really punish her if she exposes herself at any point. But everything they do seems to be hinging on that one kill potential at one shot, and bullet might have been the better option if they want to execute just that. But they have so much transference now also on Abathur. That's a bit more sustained. That might just be what Zeratul needs in these fights.
Sappers down below, but 3 seconds until the triple altar phase. 5 bell towers control for Dignitas. They're going to start that top right channel, and I think this is going to be a very easy pickup unless a Slap-a-Thur attempt comes in. Not the case. 5 shots here for Team Dignitas. 5 more coming through bottom, and I likely this top left to leave the core of CE down to 5. We'll see if they can contest, though.
Whoopi sneaking in the top right this quickly was absolutely fantastic, because for CE invading the top left is so difficult right now, and it's really them in an awkward spot. They don't want to go in there, and all that Dignitas has to do, they just have to delay it. They're on level 15.5. They only need half a level until they hit level 16 talents. So all they have to do here is just play it slow, interrupt, wait for the experience, or just take the fight with Cocoon, and that's what they're doing.
Gotta get it, those 5 shots there by Wubby picking it up. A Lufu still being healed up a little bit there. Shuyu gotta get caught out as the bunker ends up dropping. Taunt lands onto Poik. A little bit of damage there, but it's not nearly enough to threaten him.
Wind in trouble, and a lot of it at that. Earthquake is already being used here and zones him out completely. Not even Abathur is going to be able to help with that. He's going to fall eventually, just trying to rush away here, but that's not going to happen. Another good kill for Dignitas. They're nearly on 16 at this point. CE is down to 5 points on their core as Dignitas is just running away with this game.
They end up burning that void. JPL got the pressure, and they end up getting a kill. Great job here from KTY. locking down, at least getting some kind of response, because if that went a little bit more sour, that very much could have been game. Snitch getting caught out, and the Twilight Dream gets used. Pulse Bomb ends up dropping, and another kill here. 2 for 2 between the two.
CE showing some signs of life by losing Zeratul right now, and it might be a bit too late, but at least they get level 16 talents. Tracer falls, but the counter kill against Alexstrasza as Booby goes in there trying to go for Malfurion here. The bunker saves him just for now. Luful with the Abathur hand. Can he make that happen? It doesn't look likely. Ice Block being used by Zillion, and Luful finally realizes that this is not going to be his kill.
Wind ends up coming through the town portal though. Gets the taunt, gets the hat, and locks down Zalia. Very good job there. And, you know, shout out to Luful for that 2 versus... I mean, it was a 2 versus 2, let's be real. There was an Abathur hat. But still, the decision-making between that, because Zalia played that near perfectly with the opportunities of making sure he left the bunker for a double bunker opportunity. If he stayed in that the whole time, that would have been a very easy kill on the side of CE. And so Dig played amazing, but the fact that Luful held his own, I'm impressed.
On the minimap right now, we could actually also see Anubarak trying to go for Abathur here. Didn't quite work out because Abby played on point and moved back immediately. But now we're in this weird spot where, again, CE has to invade. 4 against Falters, but that might be a kill against Zeratul. He moves back for now. Luful does not get the channel through. Earthquake dropped again by Snitches. They're trying to turn around against Greymane, and he is low, but the copy is forcing Poik back.
Wobby's going to go ahead and start the channel. Body blocks there for JPL, but the Q out from Wind ends up getting the delay. Clone now has been dealt with. Alexstrasza and friends here looking like they're going to retreat. Now with these shots picked up, 1 HP remains here onto the core of CE, meaning, I mean, legitimately any opportunity. Boss, you know, Sappers is a, you know, no risky decisions can be made from this point on the side of CE.
CE moving back because there was another camp take and the Pumpkins moving through the bot lane, and then the Chinese team just felt that they had to react. Abathur alone, not enough to stop them. So they take the hit for now, but now we have 28 points on Dignitas core against the 1 on CE side. And that is not good news. It's actually surprising to me that they don't make the play for the bottom bell tower. They're so afraid of boss at the top that they transitioned very early towards the top, but now they're about to lose Zeratul down here, and the camp is taken away, and that's just a worst case scenario now for the Chinese team.
Yeah, that was a very good job from the beginning on the side of Team Dignitas, understanding to, you know, wait as long as possible to make sure Zalia gets as close as possible. Max range route, immediate Twilight Dream, knowing that's the only way that escape is there. Clever play from Dig, and with that, it's going to lead to an escort here on these Sappers. If any of them make it in, that is going to be game. Cuckoo goes down, no body blocks available. The kill almost there. Alexstrasza with the Dragon Queen. Not enough to keep it up. The Sapper makes it in, and Team Dignitas take a pretty convincing win here on Towers.